Oh boy.
Ready?
That was aggressive.
No. So I'd like to call to order the December 17th meeting of the Batavia Park District Board of Commissioners at 7:02. Lindsay, please call the roll.
Larson. Absent. Bell.
Here.
Tillman.
Here.
Gray. Here. Callahan.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. It's over here. Front of the other one. Wow. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any items to be added, removed, or changed on the agenda from your perspective, Allison?
Very nice.
I would like to propose that we move executive session 15 to between old business and new business, since we have action items afterwards, and that way we can do all of the business. That's
Perfect.
something.
That
And
sounds
that
great.
shouldn't take very long. So
Okay.
we can move that to make that,
13.5.
yeah.
Yeah.
13.
I like it. Sounds good.
Okay. Excellent. All right, next item on the agenda is guest matters from the public. Anybody wishing to address the board this evening?
Consent agenda first. Cool, sorry.
Okay. All right, so I established the consent agenda as follows. Approve the meeting minutes of the regular board meeting of November 19th, 2024. Approval of the minutes of the executive session of November 19th, 2024. Approval of the minutes of the special board meeting of December 3rd, 2024. Approval of the paid expenditures, approval of the expense, approval report, approval of the investment summary, approval of the income statement, and approval of purchases.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Aye. Bell.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as established.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is matters from the commissioners. Anyone wishing to address anyone, anything, or anyone this evening?
Welcome back. It's very nice to have you back.
Thank you.
I think we're all very happy.
It's a lot of work to do, but excited to be back.
Glad to have you.
Absolutely.
New skate park, bike pump track thing, looks really cool.
Yep.
Oh, you went
It's
by
really
it?
good.
I'll buy it, looks good. I've not biked on it, I don't want to hurt
You
myself.
didn't go skateboarding or biking?
Yeah,
or pump
Tara,
track?
can you do me a favor, if you plan on doing that, can you give me a call?
Yeah.
I really want a video of that if you do.
Thanks a lot.
You can just put me on that.
Yeah, just put us all on the set.
Safety first, put knee pads on,
We
elbow
may have
pads.
to schedule a regular board meeting for that, because we're all coming. If he goes out there.
You're gonna make fun of it, but I'm gone.
What?
You know, we have Batavia Access Television. You know,
Right, we can advertise that.
we can
So,
just slow
it looks
mo.
great, good job, and it's fast.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Went up well. Yeah, quickly.
Nice.
Excellent. All right, next item on the agenda is Batavia Parks Foundation.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I am Erin Pittman from the Batavia Parks Foundation. I am going to share our November and December updates, and they have been pretty significant. Every year in November, the Parks Foundation the members have an opportunity to renew their membership for another 2-year term or conclude their time on the board. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to thank our outgoing board members and executives for all of their contributions. We couldn't have gotten anywhere close to where we are today without these lovely folks. And that is Mike Burke, Nikki Kazadi, Adam Thorne, Laura Basil, Don Mocher, who is treasurer, Sarah Ryerson, who is secretary, and Brenda McKenna, who served as president. Additionally, we are super excited. We got a lot of applications, and it was really awesome to see a ton of new energy coming into the board, and we have some new members and a new executive team to announce. We have welcomed Amy Ogden, Matt Williams, Lindsay Redmond, Nisreen Wakile, Jamie Lezick as secretary, and Lindsay Williams as treasurer.
Oh, fantastic.
And rounding out our new executive board is Erin Pittman, that's me, as vice president, and Katie O'Brien as president. We are so excited to get started with this new chapter of the Parks Foundation.
And the park board will
Fantastic.
remember Katie O'Brien, she took our headshots.
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Awesome, well, congratulations,
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's great.
and thank you for
Thank
your
you very
service.
much. In other new news, the Batavia Parks Foundation Peace Projects Fund has been established with the Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley. This was established in order to support the 3 different peace projects, and if there are any additional ones that the community wants to begin, to make sure that the funds that the community donated for the peace projects remain on the peace project. We wanted to make sure we weren't just taking those and you doing something else with them. We want to make sure that that they trust that that's what it's going towards. And so should there be any maintenance that needs to get done, should there be any changes or additions that need to get made, or like I said, new projects or anything like that related to that, the members who will approve that will both be outgoing members who were a big part of the peace project, as well as it will always make sure to retain the president of the Batavia Parks Foundation as well, to ensure that there's fidelity in there as well. And then that is it for our November, December updates. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer or take any feedback back.
Commissioner?
Well, awesome. Welcome to all the new board members and executive. Can we possibly get email address exchanged? Because I do have some ideas for the foundation that would love to throw at you.
We would love that.
But, we can handle that, via
Yeah,
email.
absolutely.
So that'd be great. Thank you.
Erin, I know that our staff is super eager and excited to be working with you, and we just love the fresh energy and leadership that you and your executive team and the new board members bring forward. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
kudos to you for stepping up to the challenge, and we are here right along you every step of the way.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. We feel that support too, so thank you.
Yep, you got it.
Awesome, well, congratulations, and you do not have to stick around for the
No.
rest of the meeting if
Thank
you
you.
have elsewhere to go.
Not that I'm not genuinely curious about.
Well, you can
sports,
stick
but-
around as long as you like.
Right.
I'm not pushing you out the door. I'm just letting you know,
A girl
you do not
said
have to
you,
feel.
that's fine.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
again
the
for
time.
coming. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
All right, next item on the agenda is presentations. Paul Corey Beach Master Plans Conceptual Design.
The lights, camera, action.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good
evening.
to be here with you tonight. Thanks for having us. I'd like to start things off this evening by introducing our team. I'm Andrew Caputo with Williams Architects, and with me is Julia Soriano.
Leon Younger with Rose Consulting.
And Philip Parnan with Rose Consulting.
We're excited to present this master plan to you tonight, and we'd like to walk you through the steps in our presentation that we've been working on with staff for the last year on Corey Beach. It's been an exciting process, and we hope to build some excitement beginning tonight with this presentation to all of you. Next. So our agenda is our next slide. I'll walk you through our aquatic facility assessment and program objectives, and Julia will discuss the master plan. She'll show you some existing and concept plans and inspirational images. I'll come back and discuss our cost estimate, and then Leon and Phil will discuss our operations and financial plan for you. And then I'll just wrap things up at the end. All right, our process began with an aquatic facility assessment. We took a look at the existing quarry, spent some time out there with staff, and reviewed the existing conditions both from a swimming pool code perspective and from an existing conditions building code perspective. And as a result of our review, we looked at a lot of things in terms of operations, and we concluded with some findings. And these findings can be summarized here. We prepared an extensive report that has a lot of detail, but here this is a good summary. And one of the things that we looked at with the existing quarry is that The facility is well-loved, well-used. There are aging, the bathhouse is aging and the buildings are aging just as a result of normal wear and tear. We know the last renovation, major renovation, was in the 90s to the buildings, and they're beginning to show their age. One of the things we also noticed as time goes by, code changes. Building, plumbing, and accessibility codes change. There are some ADA requirements that could be addressed as part of any future improvement plan. We looked at the quarry itself, the main feature, the gem of the community that it is. One of the things that's a challenge is that because it's solar heated, it has limited seasonal operations just due to that cold water. We know that also because it's been a primary fixture for many, many years in the community, all the program offerings are pretty much centered around the quarry, and this started us thinking about visioning and perhaps what the future might entail. Another aspect that we thought about as we concluded our report was that the depth of the quarry and the cold water makes it geared more towards a specific age group, and it also started us thinking about the future and perhaps how the quarry might become more of a multi-generational or multi-age appeal. One of the other things that we discussed with staff at length was because there's 8 separate buildings on the site, it becomes difficult for staff, especially during busy season times, to operate because there's different functions that operate out of the 8 different buildings that are scattered throughout the site. The entry sequence was another issue that we discussed. The original 90s buildings were designed to use certain service areas and approach, and that has been changed, which the entrance now is around the corner of the main admissions building, which can be a little bit constricting and perhaps not quite as welcoming as it could be. We all know and discuss the limited parking on site just due to the popularity. And again, similar to the buildings, just as the quarry continues to age, the water features, again, are just beginning to show perhaps some time for a refresh. Next, please. All right, we'll talk about our program objectives. So we spent some time, and Leon and Phil and his team assisted us with some community engagement. And that started us analyzing feedback that we received from the board, project stakeholders, community members, some of the survey results. And then we discussed with staff some ideas, feedback from the community engagement process, and started thinking about how can we broaden the appeal of the quarry. And this led to the development of these program objectives. The most important aspect of the quarry is really the first objective. It really is a unique gem in Chicagoland. We know that the quarry is something that is a resource that no one else has, that makes the Batavia Park District unique, and the community can take advantage of that in the future without worrying that somehow that setting or that natural landscape would be destroyed. So we want to preserve that. We want to make those existing conditions repairs and improvements, but we want to maintain the quarry's status as a bathing beach, and there's some technical reasons for that with the Illinois Swimming Pool Code. If it was classified as a swimming pool, there would be some further upgrades that would be required that would be cost prohibitive. So we'd like to maintain that ambiance and that status as a bathing beach. And of course, because the sand feature is one of the features that we heard from the community that is so beloved. There are non-historic buildings on the site. Julia will point out the 2 historic buildings, but of the 8 structures, 6 of them are, while they're noteworthy and they're certainly inspirational in terms of their architecture and future architecture, we want to think about how we can improve the customer service experience, make the facility more welcoming both for admissions and operations, and consolidate these individual buildings into a larger whole. We want to look at opportunities to take this gem of a facility that is so popular in the summer and think about how can there be an opportunity to expand this wonderful facility so that it can operate all seasons. Obviously, it can't offer swimming all season, but what are some ideas? How could it be programmed? What are some things that could happen, some new ideas? And we started this visioning process that we hope to share with you this evening. We want to also, along with that, with increasing ideas for improvements, increasing opportunities for multi-generational participation, different age groups, different folks, all different residents, not just from Batavia, but from surrounding communities. We want to also increase revenue opportunities and rental opportunities. And Leon and Phil will talk a little bit more about that towards the end of our presentation. And now with our master plan section, I'll turn things over to Julia.
Thank you, Andrew. So our first step in that master plan was really just zooming back, looking at that site context around the quarry. So as you can see here, this is a very unique environment. There's not a lot of built structures around it. To the south, there's the Fox River, and to the north, there's actually the residential community that's up on a bluff. So it almost cradles the quarry. So as you enter, you start going down, and you're cradled by the Fox River and the tree line along that bluff. A couple other...
Can you just push the microphone down? It's not amplification, but it is for the recording. Just
Okay.
so you
Sorry
have
about
clarity for our public. Thanks.
A couple other things to note are the parking lots. So we have that north parking lot for the pass holders, and then the south parking lot, which you could tell is already it's not enough to sustain the amount of patrons coming to the quarry, especially if we talk about adding different programs to the quarry as well. We're going to need some more parking. Next slide, please. So now as we zoom in, looking more in depth at the quarry, like Andrew said, there are multiple buildings scattered throughout the site, as you can see here. So we have a separate admissions building, women's bathhouse, men's bathhouse, manager's office, concessions building, pass holder shed, and then lastly at the bottom is the mechanical room for all of the pool equipment. So those are all the non-historic buildings on the site. The two historic buildings are the existing concessions building that is now being used as storage to the left of the page, as well as the historic dive platform that goes into the quarry. So those are going to be two structures that we really focus on preserving and saving that history. Just to talk a little bit more about what the quarry already offers. So there's a kiddie slide that goes into that shallow area. We have a couple 25-meter lap lanes and a larger 50-meter lap lane, as well as an inflatable area with different features that could be swapped out throughout the seasons. And lastly, surrounding the entire beach are these umbrellas that are actually not only used as a play feature, but also to distribute chlorine. So those are going to be things that we look at renovating and bringing up to date as well. So when we went to the program, looking at what is currently on the site, the program objectives of the park district, we created these three different zones. So green zone, obviously being preserving the natural landscape and setting. We were looking at different ideas and program elements that we could do that with. Just some quick ideas of movies in the park, fire pits, open lawn space, things like that. Then our second row is the orange zone. So this would be more of the built environment, things that are going to help sustain and operate the quarry. So that would be the bathhouse, different decks, plazas, and boardwalks. And then lastly, we have our blue zone, which is obviously the quarry, but how we're going to repair and rebuild, how we're going to alter it, as well as adding in a new splash pad and introducing new water to the site. Next slide, please. So once we had our different zones, we started laying it out into the site into somewhat of a bubble diagram. So we started locating all of the natural green elements kind of within those tree structures, pushed to the back. The big, large blue structures, obviously the quarry and the water zones, and then we have that transitional space of the built environment in between those two. Next slide. So here is our conceptual master plan for the quarry. The first item on the left, we know that security is an issue for the quarry, so we were focusing on adding a new fence all around as well as a security system. And the biggest change you will see is the larger multi-level bathhouse. So So this feature, instead of having the scattered buildings throughout the site, you're consolidating all of the functions of the admin, concessions, bathhouses, rental rooms, pool managers, and guards all into one building so that they can operate efficiently. And that also opens up so much more green space to the park as well. So right outside of that bathhouse is a larger plaza. So this is a great area for staging. Food trucks can pull up, and it could be a special event space as well. And then we also heard that camps need a great staging area outside of the quarry, so that plaza can serve as that staging area as well. Because the quarry, as you approach it, it's hard to find that admissions. Having this multi-level bathhouse that is kind of into that hillside will help pronounce that so people will know exactly where to go upon arrival. As you can see, it's sort of dashed in on the bathhouse, but we are preserving that existing concessions building because we do want to preserve the history that is currently on the site. As we go up around into the green space, we're showing lawn areas that serve party spaces and party rental areas, a large open lawn area because that was something that was really beloved by the patrons, going out there, barbecuing, spending their day there. We still wanted to preserve that large open space for them. The farther north you go, you see that there's a movies in the park area. So this was an idea where you're surrounded by the trees. We could have a large screen set up. People can bring their chairs in. And this is something that could have the quarry operating beyond, that regular time. It's going into that nighttime, extending the life of the quarry, as well as the seasons. This is something that could be done in the springtime and the fall. On that note, some other items that also increase the time that the quarry would be open and throughout the seasons would be a fire pit or council ring. This is something that could be operated in the fall for fall festivals, even into the winter time. The structures to the top over there you can see is the high ropes course. Again, another item that could draw people to the quarry on the fall and spring seasons. And just south of that is a proposed spray pad and ice ribbon. So this would be a combination element. In the middle, you could see there's different zones for the splash pad. So this is really important because, as Andrew said, the quarry is not heated. It's heated by the sun. So early in the seasons, it's very cold. It takes a long time to warm up. So we are proposing a splash pad that is also, the water would be tempered, so it would be a little bit warmer, especially for those little kids that may not feel comfortable going into the quarry, it being so cold. So this really speaks to that multi-generational vision of the park district. And then surrounding that splash pad is the ice ribbon. So this ice ribbon would have refrigeration underneath that slab because we know living here, it is very unpredictable if we actually get cold weather or not. So this will help create stable ice where in the wintertime, patrons can come in, they could do skating lessons and skate around that ribbon. To serve and support that splash pad ice ribbon, there's a building just to the left of that. And that is a warming hut, also combined with the mechanical room for the ice and splash equipment. So this would have a space, a warmed, heated space so that patrons, if they're there ice skating, doing some sort of winter festival, they have a place to go without having to go all the way back to the bathhouse to warm up and have bathrooms. Just south of that, we are showing a boardwalk, something that the patrons said they wanted more beach area. So we actually expanded that beach area so we have a little bit more sand, and then we have a boardwalk surrounding that. That'll help keep the sand in place because we know that that was a maintenance issue with sand getting everywhere. So we have this boardwalk that surrounds the entire edge of that sand beach. And just to the north of that boardwalk, we are showing a pavilion. So this would be an open air structure. It's another program element where if you were having a farmer's market, fall festival, winter festival, a place for vendors to set up. It could also be utilized for recreation programming. Because it's an open air structure, you could host things like yoga and other elements there that could spill out into the lawn to the north as well. Let's talk a little bit more about the changes that we're proposing for the quarry. So the biggest thing you may notice about the quarry is that we removed one of the islands. So we removed the smaller island just to create a larger area or for an inflatable zone. Since this was something that the public loves so much, is the opportunity to change out different elements. You could also create an obstacle course with these inflatable structures and just keep changing it throughout the season to draw interest. We are saving those 50-meter lap lanes for the swimmers that really love to swim laps. We're showing a water walk that would connect the pool deck to the island in the center, creating different elements for age users. And then as well, we're showing a climbing wall on that center island as well. The historic diving tower will get renovated and rebuilt, saving that piece of history as well as replacing the diving boards and the drop slides from that. Just to the south there, we are proposing a new structure around the filter equipment. So the filter equipment is it's in great shape. There's a couple things that may need to be updated. However, the building really needs to be replaced. So we're going to save all of that pool equipment or quarry equipment, and then we will build a new structure around it. And the last thing with the quarry, we're proposing to update all of those water play features that surround, that also help chlorinate the water since those are outdated. And the last thing, one of the more important things, is the expanded parking, because we know that is such an issue in the community where people can't find a place to park, especially if we're adding all these exciting features to the quarry. We want to make sure that people can actually park and stay for a long time. So we're showing some extended parking on that side over there. Next slide, please. So now to get you a little more excited about what this could look like, I put together some inspiration photos just so you could see what I was thinking about on those different ideas. So when we were talking about that dry play area right adjacent to that plaza outside the bathhouse, we're thinking about nature-inspired play. So things that are not too brightly colored and in your face, but how can we incorporate those play elements into the natural setting? So here are just some different visuals where you can see that they're wood structures, they're not crazy colors, and they're starting to blend into the landscape. Next slide. You can see with the colors that are selected, it kind of just blends into the background. It's wood, and here would be the high ropes course. So this is a little bit larger in scale, but this would be lined in the back by the trees, so it kind of blends into the trees. It wouldn't be right in the middle of the quarry, and it provides a new experience to go patrons. And then also because we have so many different changes in grade at the quarry where it's going down, it'd be really cool to incorporate some of these different play features into those grade changes. So here's another idea with a climbing wall, doing culverts where kids can climb through. It's more about exploring, and it's more natural than brightly colored play equipment. On that note, also doing nature-inspired pool features. So a lot of times climbing walls are brightly colored, or they're clear plastic. They're very in your face and they don't look natural. So because of the setting of the quarry being so natural, we really want to emphasize that and look for pool features that kind of blend into the setting and don't stand out. So here is another idea of a climbing wall that just kind of fades into the background and isn't too brightly colored. And then here's another idea for that inflatable water play where you can, now that we have a larger area, we could start connecting things and creating almost an obstacle course within the quarry. And then also nature-inspired splash pad. So looking at different features that, again, are not brightly colored, they're not huge fake flowers, but they start blending in with the environment. We start introducing planters so that it all becomes integrated. And then we could also look at, introducing rock formations, and then instead of all play features, we could look at doing different sprays from the ground as well. And then this was a really cool precedent project that I found actually in Canada. It is a combination ice ribbon splash pad. So here's the center of that splash pad with different features. It has a nice rock wall for seating around it. And then if you go to the next slide, this is what it looks like in the winter. So it has that ice ribbon around the outside where kids can skate. We have that refrigerated system below so that we have a stable ice throughout the season. And then speaking again to that multi-generational experience, having misting stations so that maybe some older patrons that want to come, but maybe they don't want to actually get into the quarry or go into the splash pad, they have the option to cool off so that they can enjoy all the new programs that are being added to the quarry. Here's an idea for the fire pit at Council Ring. Again, extending the season, going into the nighttime to get more use out of the quarry. And then an idea of having movies in the park where we could have some sort of permanent screen or inflatable screen and people can bring their chairs and spend the night at the quarry. Here's what that open air pavilion would look like inside of the quarry. It just provides shade so that different vendors can set up stalls, so you could have farmers markets, Christmas markets, fall markets, things like that. Or you could set up tents. So if you have too many vendors in the pavilion, you could also, in that big grassy open space, have more tents. Or this could also happen on that pavilion outside of the fence as well. If you were having something like a food truck festival where everybody, all the food trucks line up at that drop-off area. I'm going to turn it back over to Andrew for cost estimate.
Thank you, Julia. Look at costs next. Next slide, please. If we were to implement the entire master plan at once, all the ideas, and looked at 2026 implementation, we evaluated costs in our office just based on historical projects and escalating those costs. And we calculate a total project cost range of approximately $39 to $43 million. That is a total project cost. In architecture and construction, as all of you I'm sure are familiar with, when we talk total project cost, we mean hard construction cost and soft cost. Hard construction cost is the cost of the building itself and all of the constructors that are associated with that. It typically includes a general contractor, a construction manager, and any contingencies. Soft costs are those costs that are loose furniture, fixtures, equipment, owner costs, surveys, geotechnical, construction material testing, architecture, engineering, those types of things that aren't physical. One thing that we must say, though, with the master plan is that the master plan is intended to be something that is an inspiration as a roadmap. It doesn't need to be thought of as something that has to be implemented all at once. It's, in fact, most common for master plans to be implemented slowly over many years. And so we wanted to share with you, in case the thought process is, hey, this is something that we might like to do all at once, what would the magnitude of this be? This would give you an idea of what you might be looking at. Would certainly a project of this magnitude deserve community support? If you are instead implementing this in manageable chunks, we have prepared in our report document a breakdown of the various elements in our report that gives you an idea of exactly what those elements might cost, again, in case they're implemented over a number of years. And hopefully that helps give you a little roadmap for discussion about the future. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Leon and Phil.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Leon Younger with Pros Consulting. This is Phil Parnan, and we work together on really following the architect's design and really listened to what the community had said, and we put together an operational plan that kind of follows what would it cost to operate and manage and maintain this. One of the key things that happens when you do a plan like this, we build a business plan around it, and one of the major goals was to make it as much as we could a year-round destination park, and a quarry, and a high ropes course, and a ice ribbon. So you're trying to build a lot of different experiences into the same space. And part of that looks at these assumptions. One is that it has the highest level of maintenance, mainly because it's an experience that's unique, and I think people's expectations are high, and that they would pay for those experiences given the opportunity. We extended your current summer season right now is 79 days, and we're looking at, we would extend another 18 weeks for the ice ribbon and the high ropes course, 11 weeks. Of course, 11 weeks would be in addition to the summer. We're looking at a capacity of 1,500 people, and really want to incorporate as much technology and efficiency through membership visitor experiences that really helps define how this facility could operate and be maintained as a destination park, not only for the citizens of Batavia, but also for the region. and really try to make it as comprehensive as we could. We recognize through this process that a summer staff isn't the kind of staff that really this needs. It needs a year-round focus that looks at a recreation supervisor that's year-round, that we need ice ribbon attendants, high ropes attendants, as well as contractual and program staff, as well as security. So we built those all into this process as we move forward. Next slide. So we have a staffing outline here in terms of how the number of staff would be involved, the different facility manager, and whether they're full-time, part-time, or contractual, how they would be managed for both. And a lot of this follows your existing structure in terms of the Quarry Beach, and we used all the data that you've provided, the staff provided us for building off the existing plan for this business plan. Some of the key program outcomes we're looking at, again, your basic swim lessons, skating lessons, everything that has to do with aqua fitness, paddleboarding, canoeing, kayaking, including with the ice ribbon curling, as well as different kinds of events that really try to bring people out to the site and really make it a fun environment, a place that really has a destination feel to it with different types of programming packages, different types of team building events for the community, as well as the family. We also look at different events that can be held there, and we know that events really open up the door for more programming opportunities. So events bring people in, and then they want to be a part of the system in the future. And these types of events, whether it's a Christmas in July, artist fair, different types of events that are at night, that we really can capture different days and times of the year, different ongoing holidays that exist now, and really build as much around the winter as that happens in the summer. So these are examples that we built into the pro forma for this plan. One of the things we looked at was in the pro forma, and I'm going to turn this over to Phil now. Phil did the financial assessment working with the staff, and I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, Leon. So as part of our assumptions for the financials, we look at member and non-member percentages, and we looked at it from the standpoint of the market value of the facility and a resident discount for those that are within the Batavia district. Marketing is assumed to be 2.5%. We anticipate a lot of free marketing opportunities considering the historical value that this has to the community, and leading up to the development and through development, the excitement that can come from that. We think we can capitalize on that as staff can with utilizing that marketing and then building around that. Obviously, we wanted to account for credit card and bank fees, liability insurance as well, and then an increase in the utilities and chemicals based on past actuals, but also the elements that were added that were covered by Julia as well. Revenue is done through memberships, daily admissions, programs, reservations, and other covers a couple of different topics that we'll get into when we get into the expense report or the revenue report. As far as our pricing strategies, we looked at the membership that was achieved in 2024 and increased that by 15%, increased the daily admissions by 35% from a non-member event attendance as well. One of the benefits of being a member would be free admission for those events that would be hosted on site. Memberships are all-season passes, leaving out the months of April and May as staff need to prepare for the aquatic season and conduct some trainings with staff as well. Regular season passes for summer, winter season passes for the November to March. We looked at those in categories of youth and adult. Those are still an individual membership. They're still at the same rate. However, utilizing those categories for tracking purposes of data to be able to respond and adjust accordingly as time goes by. Family, looking at family as a couple, yourself and a spouse or partner. Also, keeping the additional persons available as well. Looking at admissions for peak and off-peak seasons to include daily admission, twilight, and group reservations. Next slide, please. So the pro forma was was to achieve a balanced financial plan. We looked at it from the standpoint of having a dedicated individual to oversee this from a comprehensive and cohesive approach, utilizing it to ensure that it's customer or member and guest centric, focusing on the experience. That experience from start to finish, from the point of contact all the way through the use of the facilities and ultimately evaluations and customer satisfaction ratings as well. In addition, we wanted to ensure that there was an opportunity for a ramp-up period so that staff were able to adapt to changes that they would encounter from the initial opening. We anticipate that they would be maximizing the use and reprioritizing popular and well-attended programs and events and aspects to the facility, utilizing, making sure that the less attended would be reprioritized with the more popular so that there's an ability to achieve the financial outcomes, but also the customer satisfaction and experience outcomes as well. We anticipated that those changes would most likely take place within year 2 and within year 4. Therefore, you see a resurgence in revenues during that time period. And throughout this, obviously, it's important to always look at an operational budget with cost containment measures in place as well too. So while you're trying to generate as much revenue as possible, you're also looking for opportunities, maybe potentially when the facility is not as heavily utilized, to take that opportunity to decrease staffing levels so that you're not just keeping a high overhead during low revenue periods. And ultimately, we find it capable of achieving 124% cost recovery. And now as we get into the expenditures, we'll show you that there are some unique items that we have in there that show that the cost recovery is more, but it's important to place things into reserve. Next slide, please. This is just a slide that lets you know that we're going into the revenue model, basically showing the 3 different types of revenue passes, and we're going to go into each one of those more specifically and in larger font in the next few slides. So here, looking at the all-season passes, we see this as the best value within the facility. It's getting you year-round access for all of the events that take place in summer, fall, and winter, and early spring. Looking at the fees, you can see, as we had spoke, you have all season passes youth rate, that is the market rate, and you see that we have youth resident rate discount. Same for adults, same for seniors, same for a family of 2, with the additional persons rate involved there as well. Next slide. The regular season rate, this is where the bulk of the revenue is generated. That's obviously been the history of the site. As well too. Utilizing this, we did still keep incorporated, as we said, the daily rate, as well as the daily admission resident discount and group rate. We looked at those prices being consistent, pretty consistent, slight increase to what the regular season rate had used to be, a 15% increase on those costs, those prices as well. Next slide. And then our winter season pass. Here we have a pretty similar showing for the all seasons, except down at the bottom you can see there is a difference in the admission rate from summer to the fall and winter season. Also for resident discount and group admissions on this set of passes. Ultimately, we're seeing a pretty good revenue generation from, and the vast majority of revenue generated from those memberships and daily admissions. When we took a look at the programming, obviously we had to create a number of sessions that could be accomplished within the time frame of the hours of operation and the number of weeks of operation for each of the seasons. Looking at this and doing some more research as to what the going rate is for curling and some of the out of the ordinary activities that would help make this a year-round facility. We feel that there's a great opportunity to incorporate multi-generational programming as part of it as well, and a healthy revenue generation for the programs as well. Next slide, please. When we get into the actual events, Those events have the admission to the site as the revenue generation component, not to mention the opportunity for partnerships and sponsorships that you'll see within the category of other in just a moment. Next slide, please. So when we look at the reservation and rentals, adding the additional party room creates another opportunity for revenue generation. It also creates the opportunity for business and nonprofit gatherings and functions, including holiday parties when the ice ribbon is up and running. Looking at skate rental to include both ice and roller so that it provides that opportunity for the use of that in the fall where temperatures might be a little too cool to operate the splash pad. And there's a healthy opportunity for revenue in that. This is where it's important to have that customer-centric focus to ensure that there's an experience. And as Leon alluded to within the programming, having those corporate packages, birthday party opportunities to include decorations as well, potentially even a treasure hunt on the high ropes as well will increase those rentals and revenue opportunities. When you look down at other, that's where we have our concessions, our sponsorship and advertising. For concessions, we used a per capita rate of $4.43, a little bit higher than what I believe people were spending for the smoothies over the past summer. However, we utilized only 35% of what we believe the attendance will be from the events and from the open swim components of the facility. And that's where you see that 69,000 units, and that's generating that revenue that you see there. Not sure if there's an opportunity to enhance that with additional types of food and beverage, but we did incorporate the expenditures as far as the food service with the delivery of those foods that will be prepped and served on site. Sponsorship and advertising opportunities for events, and that's not to count the potential for naming rights of certain components within the facility done tastefully as part of a capital campaign, and or potential title sponsors for some of those events. Typically you're going to get more than $500 for a title sponsor, so those are not accounted for, being a little bit more conservative on those revenues. And that's where having a dedicated individual that oversees the entire operations of the facility, also working with guest services manager as year-round staff to help plan the pitch for those types of opportunities would be beneficial. We looked at the Ice Gala fundraising event as something that could be a potential partnership with the foundation. We thought that that would be great to do in combination with the family ice carnival that was seen there in events, and then holding those actual creations over for the evening ice gala, which we would anticipate to be predominantly an adult event, and hopefully with the opportunity for serving adult beverages since there is no aquatic component. We all recognize that aquatics is a potentially fatal activity, and mixing those two things was not really a bright idea. But there is an opportunity outside of the aquatic season to potentially do that, especially in a controlled environment such as a fundraiser. Ultimately, we see the potential of revenue being around $900,000. Again, that's predominantly become possible because of the dedicated full-time staff. If this were still being operated in the capacity to which it has been with part-time and seasonal staff, predominantly home from college, that would be a much more difficult feat to achieve. Next slide. Thank you. Again, we'll jump into the expenditure model, just a holding slide for transition. So when we looked at the personnel, you can see that we have 100% of the salary allocated. We even account for the benefits of that position. Looking at the facility and guest member services, we have those 4 individuals categorized with the number of hours over, and those are going to be overlapping schedules. Obviously, we've increased the number of lifeguards slightly. We've also added additional staff in the form of ice ribbon attendants as well as high rope attendants. The high ropes course is not something that would be open the entire time. That is something that would be dedicated most likely after everyone gets settled with the aquatic component, and then you have the opportunity to bring in those staff and begin to stagger and stage that opening. but also the opportunity to have that specifically dedicated and scheduled for party activities, where they would be renting the party room and or the party deck as well. And then we have custodial services, and then the program staff, contractual, whether that be for the aerobics classes through instructors, or also art instructors for arts and crafts activities under the pavilion, as Julia had mentioned. But we thought it was also important, and had some consultation with Brent upon his return, to incorporate district support staff to increase predominantly within HR and finance. Obviously, we heard of some of the challenges and know some of the challenges across the entire country when it comes to hiring and retaining staff in our post-COVID years. And it actually began prior, but it's become a little bit more challenging since. And so we wanted to account for that. We also put into the operations plan partnering with the local colleges, looking at Aurora University, Benedictine University, and one other. They have specific programs that feed into this, including food service management, including recreation facility management, as well as programming and events. And we thought that getting involved with them, creating those partnerships to include internships as well, could help with those year-round positions, since we are expanding the hours of operation for the facility. Next slide, please. So when we look at operations, obviously we've accounted for what you would typically see within the budget for them, but also the increase considering the additional amenities that were added. A couple that are worth noting is the increase in staff training costs. Again, it's important to have a customer-centric focus for a facility such as this, reigniting that nostalgia of this historical asset within the community, but also creating new excitement from the additions and the renovations and improvements that have been spoken about as part of this. Obviously, you can see where we've taken into account the 48% of total revenues for food service. That is a little higher estimate, but we want to make sure that we're giving the staff the flexibility to choose and introduce new items as part of that concession service as well. We've increased the pool acid as well as in chlorine, as well as the chlorine and the repair and maintenance as well, considering the new assets. The beauty of this is, we had this conversation with Josh, is that initially new items are great. They don't typically involve the same amount of level of maintenance, but we know that there is going to come a time where that will begin to transition to where those maintenance costs increase. So ensuring that that's a healthy budget from the beginning, and if not utilized, perfect, held over and reserved for when it is needed, just in case there are some critical issues. Next slide, please. When we approach the other services, these are all those percentages that we had talked about prior to jumping into the pro forma. 2.5% of the revenues equates to approximately $26,000. That's roughly to be used for marketing on billboards, radio advertisement, print materials, things of that nature that would be handed out on site, printed flyers and such for upcoming events as well. Covering the bank fees, including the sales tax for concessions, your 2% of operational costs for liability and insurance, and then putting 5% into reserve for life cycle replacement. That's in addition to the repair and maintenance that we had discussed on the previous slide. Ultimately, we're looking at net revenue for the first year of break even to about $16,000. And again, as you saw on the original pro forma slide, there is a ramp up period, and we do anticipate this having a very balanced financial plan, and one with the innovative and creative staff that exists within Batavia Park District. We believe their ability to respond to changing conditions in the facility will keep it sustainable. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over.
Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
Clean up food. I was just going to say to everyone, thank you very much for this opportunity to present the master plan for the beach. We'd be pleased to answer any questions that you might have or any comments.
I'm sure we have a few questions, but it is a lot of material to be given at one time, so we're going to have to take a little bit of time to think about it. But John, I know you had a few things.
I did. So I get it that updates have been made, but the numbers that we saw are vastly different than what was shown up here, so if we can get an updated thing sent to us, that'd be
We
great.
just get the updated performance today.
Oh, we did? Okay, I
Yeah,
downloaded
we
this
just-
over the weekend and so.
Correct, that was
Okay.
part of our discussion.
That's cool, that's
Yeah.
fine, I just, I would love to see this actually in a phased out deal. There's no way that this can ever happen at one shot. Referendums and so forth, we've been through all that, you know, $40 million. We don't have that in our reserve, do we? No. No, we can't do that. Like,
We're well aware.
you can't do that, we don't have that?
No, not in my.
You didn't bring that back with you?
Pat, are you not gonna fund that, just like you're funding the building? No? Okay. No. Just, but I'm trying to understand, there's a lot of, this is fantastic work, by the way. I'm not being critical of the work, because the ideas are fantastic. And that I get it with all the numbers, but I'm not in the business so I don't understand how this would look phased. I mean, I'm talking like 8 to 10 years out. What could we do programming wise that would start generating revenue right away while we're planning some other things? What can help maintenance wise? What can help beautify things wise? That's a lot of work, I'm sure.
Bite-sized.
Yes, but like to just, you know, hey, year one, we're gonna do this, and why we're gonna do it.
But then keeping in mind with the overall plan.
Exactly,
Instead of
because-
like,
exactly.
let's just replace this parking lot, no, let's have a, yeah.
Right, as part of this plan, the way it's spelled out, because some of these features are fantastic. I love the ice ribbon thing, that's great, that's awesome. But I can't break it all apart. And like a question I was asking Pat is, I know there's economies of scales of saying, we're gonna get a GC in here and do all this stuff, tear all this stuff down, but then what does that do to our cost if we spread that over 10 years and now we have to keep doing bids and keep doing this? So I mean, the cost obviously is gonna go up, and I get that, but it's a way that we can actually afford it. So I would love to see something like that phased out, you know? Because like I made some notes, that doing this, I mean, we, all at one shot, even if we had the money, it would like close the quarter for 2 years, right? I mean, so, and now the dollars, I am skeptical of the revenue.
Yeah.
When because I purposely went back and looked at the quarry presentation from October.
Sure.
And the revenue that we're talking about is 2.5 times what was brought in this last year, which was a pretty good year. And I'm just skeptical of that. I don't see how we're going to generate $1 million in revenue at the quarry, even with all these things. And I mean, so I'd like to.
He's a skeptical guy.
I am. But you know what? Part of that is, and you're absolutely right. I am skeptical, but part of it is I don't understand the numbers enough. I'm not an accountant guy. I design computer systems, but not money part of them. So, I mean, how realistic are some of these programming things that we're talking about and generating revenues, and these membership opportunities would be? Because I looked at that, the membership is like double to 3 times the numbers that we have. And what are your realistic thoughts on actually bringing in that kind of revenue and those kind of people? Just to satisfy my old brain, I don't.
On the price sensitivity and.
Right. I mean, and you know.
What suggestions would you have?
Right.
Leon, for.
Well, I think one of the things that's important to recognize on numbers is that you have really a 2.5 to 3 month facility now. Trying to move it to a year-round facility, but you're adding 2 major attractions into the site that you don't have, which brings in a whole nother revenue set by itself. If an ice ribbon was in one of your parks, it would draw an enormous amount of people, but you're putting it into an existing facility that just, adds value to what you're already doing. So you have to consider that those 2 major pieces, plus when you're programming a building that has wider age segment appeal. I mean, the quarry certainly has a wide age segment appeal, but at a different level between fall, winter. You open up the opportunity, and plus you don't have a lot of competition. So consequently,
Well, and that's a good point. So for the ice ribbon, like I say, I love it. but how much does that cannibalize the depot pond? Ice skating at the depot pond. And so,
Well, that's free.
that's my point. That's exactly my point, is that, does it
Well,
actually?
it's so inconsistent.
And it's
too.
inconsistent,
Yeah.
and will it bring people, and there's also other things that people do downtown, so how much does that, do we just not do that anymore? Do we, you know what I'm saying? What part of bringing in a feature like this, what does that do to the rest of ice skating in town, which is historic? And to your point, very inconsistent because of the weather. This would
But
be
this
much
is
more
also just, I
consistent.
think, showing us an option.
I understand, I want to understand the thought process of all this, so.
I was just going to say, I know, Leon, one of the things that we've discussed is also just the broader appeal of the quarry being a destination, not just for Batavia,
Gotcha.
but for the surrounding neighborhood. So you're actually not just drawing from your own community of residents, but from the surrounding communities. And I know you've discussed that at length.
Well, and I think, John, also is to recognize, look what other ice ribbons are doing around you. And we've been involved with several with Williams. And we also have done a lot of, adventure parks. And those adventure parks, sometimes they're done privately, like Go Ape is done privately. And you get a percentage back, but they manage it, and they manage it well. And we've done a lot of contracts with them as well. But the intent is that these do generate, we really feel our numbers are very conservative. And consequently, we really feel comfortable with them. But you have to, I think as a board, you'd have to recognize and we can provide comparisons so you can really see what these facilities generate, because they do.
Yeah.
And I think that you've got an incredible setting that takes a captive audience from a quarry beach and allows it to do other things in the same type of setting what happens at the beach. And so that's where we really went after expanding this to a year-round opportunity.
So like the high ropes course and things like that, would your advice be to third-party privatize that and
Well,
get
it's up
that
to you.
revenue back?
I mean,
when you're talking about your numbers, is that part of what you're?
No, we didn't, this is
Okay.
all you.
Okay, got it.
But the intent is, some people can't have difficulty coming in with the capital, so that somebody else will do a capital and they'll do a 20-year lease with it.
Yeah,
And the kind of the general realm is around 15% of the gross. And I can tell you that they're enormously very pleased with the revenues that when people do that.
yeah.
But the other thing is that they're in your space, and you have the capability of doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not any different between public golf and private people managing public golf courses. All we were trying to do, I think, is look at this and said, this is what this could be. These are the opportunities. This is how the space could lay out. This is what you have now that needs to be updated, but more importantly, how do we energize it as a destination park, not just for 3 months a year? That was really what the take was on this.
Awesome. Well, thank you for indulging my skepticism. I am positive on the plan, don't get me wrong. But I ask these kind of skeptical questions.
I think it's healthy that spend some time with you, and we'd be glad to do it over the phone, glad to talk to you and walk you through example after example how we got to those numbers.
Awesome.
And John, to your point, one of the questions that I had actually for Phil of pros was that, at the end of the day, this is still going to be a weather-dependent facility.
Yeah.
So whether it's raining or,
Yeah.
like if it's maybe too slushy to do ice, but you can't do the
Yep.
water feature either. So it's, we had to figure out what the daily admission would be. We did it on a mean versus an average.
Yeah.
And I would just like to make sure to address the first part of your comments about the idea of phasing and what possibly could be the order of how to implement things.
Right.
And that would be a conversation we'd be glad to have with staff to start developing some options and start evaluating the pros and cons of the features and which ones might be the best to create a phasing plan.
Well,
So that certainly could be.
I would think that would be the next logical step.
Yeah, that could be the next step.
Yeah, because it's like, just to see this, this is like boiling the ocean right here. I gotta get this in smaller chunks to be, and I think it would be the next step, is to say, okay, we have a great master plan, because I really like all the concepts. I don't know what everybody else is thinking, but I really like it. But I really would like to see them in that next logical step to say, okay, we're planning 2026, we're thinking about this, 2027, we're thinking about that, whatever. And then we can, just like we do with all the other capital projects that we go through, we can actually see, like, oh, cool, we're gonna do this year, we're gonna do the, Clark Island development, whatever.
Right, or the next
Yeah.
stage of the Civic Center.
Right, exactly.
Well, to that point, so at the appendix where you had the photos, I feel like we've seen a lot of those pictures before in the capital development plan, right? Where we
Oh,
have
comprehensive.
Comprehensive, sorry.
Yeah.
So Josh, I guess this is a question for you. Are some of these things, these photos and these issues that are addressed, are those in our plans anyway? I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
These here for.
No, like at the the
infrastructure.
gates and the bathhouses aren't ADA compliant and the just uneven concrete, those kind of things. Are those, I feel like we've had those in those plans before, I just don't remember.
Right, yeah, this, obviously they need work and we put work as we can into them every year.
Okay,
But this would be, obviously like in the site plan and we don't really have any huge capital projects
put
like
in there, okay.
No.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, I guess.
Some
'cause-
smaller improvements that we're planning on making over the next few years. but-
Okay,
Yeah.
John covered a lot of it.
Can somebody else discuss some of the things too?
So I think the next step would be for you to develop a phased approach on an amenity basis. And then Leon would be to take that same phased approach and look at the revenue model for it. Because for us, it's, in essence, it's got to be an ROI, right? What is the ROI?
Yeah.
For us to invest these kind of dollars into this. I think the good news is, and this is how John actually got on the park board, is his engagement for what to do about the queue when we started the whole, discussion about the quarry in the community right after the referendum. But I think that we're not touching the amenities that are precious, right? You guys did a good job in engaging the staff. That are, both historic but precious. I'm talking about memories and families and all the things that are necessary. But you are working in areas that I think are interesting enough that I think the community would be happy to be at the quarry for more days of the year. But I do think, so if you took this kind of phase strategy and looked at the highest, not necessarily the highest cost investment, but the balance between the highest cost investment and the maximum revenue generation for that component, and kind of look at that over, let's just say a 5-year period, right? 10-year I think is too far to look out. I think 5 years is more realistic. Look at it over a 5-year period and begin to kind of build an action plan, if you will, for the board to consider. I think that's the next logical step. This is great work.
Absolutely, we'd be glad to do that.
And would this be almost like, the action plan be an addendum or a supplement to the master plan?
Well, I would think it would be, I think it would be a revision in a way of the master plan. This would be, this is the master plan, I get it, but a phase is, this is now the master
next
plan.
step.
Yeah, the next step of the master plan is phasing it. I think it's still the quarry master plan that we can all digest and say, okay, staff, let's start working on the master plan, and then we don't have to say the master plan or the revised master plan, just the master plan.
I would call it an implementation.
Implementation plan. There you
Because
go.
the master plan by itself defines all the things you want to do, but an implementation plan says, okay, this is how you could possibly get it done, knowing that you can't invest $43 million, all at once. So.
Very good, thank you for that. We'd be glad to assist with that.
How appropriate that we actually have Spirit Financial here tonight, with the bond issuance later on today.
You got 43 million hanging there? Spirit? No?
But as a Batavia resident, what do you think?
Good.
I think it's beautiful. I think you
He's a fan of the ice.
initial-
He's a big hockey guy.
I'm a
Fan of
very
the
nice
ice.
guy. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is the fiscal 2025 annual operating budget. All right?
Yeah, yeah, that's next. 9B, right?
Yep. Allison's.
Yep, just give me 1 second. Why is this-
Oh, no.
Either the announcements or
I know.
presentations like this.
Parking lot.
Guys never make it easy.
Well, good evening, President Callahan and Park Board. Tonight I'll present a high-level overview of the 2025 budget. So the budget process kicked off in July, and after many staff meetings, as well as 2 meetings with the Park Board, what has culminated out of those meetings and all that hard work is the final proposed budget that is being presented tonight. So thank you to the Park Board for your input throughout the process, as well as to staff for their hard work as always. So this first slide shows our revenues, and I'm going to focus on the column on the far right-hand side. This shows that our total budgeted revenues for all of our funds are at approximately $17.3 million, and revenues have increased in 2025, really primarily due to our grant revenue. So we're budgeting to receive the $2.8 million for the Park and Recreational Facilities Construction Grant, or the Park Grant for the Callahan Community Center, as well as the second half of the $600,000 Open Space Land Acquisition and Development Grant, or the OSLAD grant for the project at Clark Island. Next slide, please. This slide shows our expenses for 2025, and just like the revenue slide, I'm going to focus on the far right-hand side column, which shows our budget for 2025. Our total expenses are budgeted at approximately $17.8 million, and similar to the 2024 budget, we have a larger capital fund budget, and this is primarily due to the construction of the Callahan Community Center, which is anticipated to be completed in 2025. And we're all very excited about that project and looking forward to it. I was actually down there with Josh and Katie today, checking it out. And looks awesome so far. And
The framing's all up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
so this next slide shows the total budget and appropriation amounts side by side. The left column is the budgeted amounts in total, the $17.8 million, which is the same amount that I just mentioned on the previous slide. And then on the right column next to that is the appropriation amount of $19.6 million. This is our legal spend authority and is calculated by adding an additional 10% onto the budget amount. Although the appropriation is our legal spend authority, the budget is what the board approves and what staff adheres to and follows throughout the year. And then this slide shows our change in fund balance for each fund for 2025, and corporate and recreation funds, as in the past couple of years, we're showing a fund balance here, and that's due to transferring some of our reserves into our capital fund to pay for the larger capital projects that we've undertaken, including the Callahan Community Center.
Right, so all of these are showing negative because of that transfer. A lot of it is taken up by the Callahan Community Center.
Correct.
Right.
It's all
Yes.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and I want.
This is what we talked about last
Yes.
year and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to emphasize that, you know, these decreases are being used for non-recurring expenses,
Right.
right? So when you're utilizing your fund balances, you don't want to be using them for recurring or ongoing
Right.
expenses. So this is an appropriate use for our fund balance. And, you know, most likely 2025 is going to be the last year, you know, with the completion of the Callahan Community Center, that we're going to be decreasing our fund balances such as this.
And we're still in compliance with our
And
fund
we're
balance policy.
staying in compliance with their fund balance.
We're actually
Yes.
mitigating what could be a problem with our fund balance policies, right? By drawing
Right.
this down.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, you don't want to be too high.
Right,
outside
we were
of the
getting
fund.
dangerously high.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So just a
But
quick,
I do think it's important to note, and since the camera's on, I think it's important you know, this community has told us on a number of occasions they want us to live within our means. So having a fund balance and being able to do that in combination with proceeds that we collect, I think is part of what we heard loud and clear, and we're doing it. So that money is intentional, right? We have fund balance, but we also have the long-range, you know, capital plan, or things like the quarry master plan, things like that we use that money for. So it's a planned expenditure, but it's necessary to save it before you can spend it. So we're just at the point of spending it. Okay.
Yep, perfectly said. Nice.
So next steps, tonight, we are requesting the board's approval of the fiscal year 2025 annual operating budget, as well as your tentative approval of the 2025 budget and appropriation ordinance. The notice of the public hearing, which will take place on January 21st at the January board meeting, will be published this week upon the board's approval. And then also Aaron Gold from Spear Financial is here tonight to talk about the sale of our general obligation limited tax part.
And there'll be a public hearing on January 21st, right before our normal meeting to, right?
Correct, for the final
For any public
adoption of
input
the
that
budget.
may be. Yep,
Yep.
thank you, okay.
And then, per the board's request, we did upload to Diligent Community
Yeah, so,
the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, I saw that, thank you, yes.
thank you.
And thank you again for your support, as always. And if the board has any questions, I would be happy to answer anything.
Lord?
Yep, just great, thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf of staff, you know, we'd like to thank, again, the board for your time with the capital development retreat, in addition to the budget retreat. A lot of thoughtful reflection, conversation, healthy dialogue for sure. And it really gives staff the insights as to what the board's vision is and the direction that we're heading. So thank you.
You're welcome. Would you guys like to join us back? Turn the lights back on.
It's a lonely over there.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is announcements.
Ah, yes, Katie.
Yes. I mean, this is the very first time that Brent has upstaged me, so I don't know if I can handle it. So, good evening, Batavia. And now to take a little break from our regular scheduled business to talk about the upcoming winter break programming. The popular winter break sanity-saving youth open basketball gym is back from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on December 23rd, the 26th, and 27th for kids 12 and under. The cost is $3 per person, and running, yelling, and bouncing balls indoors is totally approved and encouraged. And if Santa brings you a new paddle this Christmas, show off your skills during Pickleball Open Gym on December 26th, 27th, and 31st from 1 to 4 p.m. Evening play is also available from 7 to 9 p.m. on the 29th. And all play takes place at the Civic Center. Drop-in fees do apply. So new this year is New Year's Eve dance party on January 31st for little dancers and dancers of young ages from 5 to 12. All the little dancers are invited to spend the morning learning fun party dances like the cha-cha slide or the wobble and other TikTok dances during the first part of the program. And then there will be a balloon dance drop party at noon when we count down at noon. So exciting, giving a chance for the little ones to experience the joy of New Year's Eve.
What date is that?
What date? That is the 31st.
Of December.
Of December.
Okay. I thought you said January.
Yes.
I just
It's
wanted
also
to
my
make sure.
birthday.
Really?
Oh, so balloon dance party?
So you're gonna show up for the balloon drop?
Yeah, it's Terry Grant's party.
Thanks for throwing that out there.
She'll do
Nobody knew that until
She'll
then.
teach us to Dougie, so.
Yeah, there you go.
So the good news about the New Year's Eve dance party is that yes, parents can drop their kids off to enjoy some much needed holiday break time. So the weather outside may be frightful, but historical research is always delightful. So
Wow, that's a push.
Oh, that's what I was waiting for. That's it, right there.
You know, if spending time with your family this holiday season has you thinking about your roots, schedule some time to do some research at the GUS. The Gustafson Research Center within the Depot Museum is open Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. by appointment, now through March 1st. So if you'll call the front desk at the Park District to secure your time for a little bit of research. So yes, to answer one of our questions, we have seen all of your questions on social media, and yes, we will be skating on the Depot Pond this year if the temperature and the weather conditions cooperate. You'll be able to find notices about the skating conditions on the signs at the Depot Pond, as well as posts on the Park District social media and website when conditions are favorable for skating. If they're not favorable for skating, do not skate. And as a final reminder, Park District programming begins the second week of January. So if your New Year's resolution is to get fit, try something new, or fall back in love with something that you have done in the past, there's still time to enroll in winter programs. The fun guide is available online at bataviaparks.org or as a hard copy at Batavia Civic Center. We hope that everyone listening enjoys a wonderful holiday season and has a joyous new year. Thank you for listening, and remember to play your way, Batavia.
Thank you, Katie.
I'll never think of the Gustafson Research Center the same
It's
again.
a lot of syllables.
Okay, next item on the agenda is staff reports.
All right, Brent, you're gonna have to follow up after Katie.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a little disappointed that the new finance director didn't make the announcements.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you would think
She
that
did
would.
not tee me up there.
Yeah.
It's a missed opportunity.
Touche.
But can you bring the thunder the way she does, you know?
No.
But I would like to say welcome back, Brent. Hopefully
Absolutely.
we are ecstatic to have you back.
Man, I could have passed it on.
Excited to be back. Obviously, working on budget, getting everything wrapped up on there. And then I also have the audit kickoff meeting tomorrow with our auditors, Sikich. So I'll be jumping right into that as well here coming up. So it's about it for now, but got my hands full with catching up on everything, and yeah, a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Awesome.
All right, let's move on to Josh.
Let's do it. So we opened up the skate park and pump track Thursday. We took the construction fence down. It's been highly used. Every time I drive by and other staff members drive by, there are people there. So it's a hit already. So it's very exciting to see. So I have some follow-up work to do next spring, but for the most part, we're open for it. So, and Callahan is coming along smoothly. So we're interior framing, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff has been installed. We're looking at drywalling in a few weeks here. So elevator shaft has gone up. So yeah, we're moving along nicely there.
I haven't been by there, but when I read the elevator tower, that light is what completely changes that east side of that building.
Absolutely.
That's just going to be exciting.
Absolutely, and there's, stone going up on the outside of it too, so yeah.
I mean, those big windows on the north, that,
Yeah.
that obviously changes a ton, but that elevator and that front look on the east is.
There's an incredible view from
Yeah,
that conference room, so it's
Awesome.
very exciting. Should be seeing the storefront going up with the elevator shaft here shortly as well,
Right.
so, yeah, so it's exciting. Moving along nicely.
Sometime in January or February, if the board would like to have like another walkthrough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now things are framed, so it'll
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's
no,
temporary
great.
heating there now, so, it's, yeah.
Still an active construction zone, but the historical society,
Any
executive
chance to
board
wear
is
a hard
interested
hat,
too, so.
you know, I'm all for it. I like to wear the hard hat.
Steel-toed boots.
Yeah, yeah.
I
that'd
can
be
get you
great.
one, John.
Yeah, that'd be great. I have steel toe boots, but I don't have the hard hat. I should just buy one this spring.
No, don't buy one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I got plenty. You want an orange vest, yellow vest, which one?
Yeah, it'd be whatever is appropriate.
So, end of year wrap up for HR, performance reviews, open enrollment, all the good stuff. and then just keeping with the times, seasonal stuff is posted. So 30 positions for camp, 80 for Corey, and then 3 intern positions, and we're actually doing the first round of marketing intern interviews, Katie and I, on Thursday. So, roll it away. Roll it right into 2025.
Right?
Yeah.
No time to stop.
Snowballing.
Keep the momentum.
Thanks, Brittany.
Awesome. Corey passes and all of our outdoor rentals will go on sale on January 2nd, so they'll be here very soon. And just highlighting a couple new contractors we're working with. We're working with a new theater group, which also includes adult theater, and a new contractor for fishing classes, so that will be at Clark Island.
Awesome.
That's amazing that we're coming up on 5 years of Zoom.
Yeah. Kathy still has, it's New York to.
Right, and I was reading, it's like everywhere, and it's just
Yeah.
as popular as when
Yeah.
it started.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're gonna keep going.
As many different areas represented as we do playgrounds in other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I wonder, is she gonna hold those outside, you think, down at the new exercise? That'll be
Yeah,
good.
she's got one of those little remote sound
Yeah.
headsets, so she can have classes
That'll
outside.
be fun.
Yeah. Very excited.
Okay.
Katie.
Okay, and a couple of items that I didn't touch on in our board report is that the Marketing and Community Engagement Department has been busy supporting the district for the flip to 2025. So busy updating forms and handbooks and places where all of the dates needed to be changed. It is a very meticulous process, but something that is a nice change to support our staff. We are also deep into, as I mentioned in the announcements, supporting advertisement for the winter program guide. It is only a 2-month-long session, but they are very important and really start the foundation of some of our classes, such as the recital session for dance. We are also, in this quick turnaround, building the spring program guide, which is one of our most jam-packed. Brittany will have a ton of new things to talk about in the next month as everything gets going. We are very excited for some of the changes that are in the guide, just small tweaks. And then we are also prepping for to participate in the agency showcase competition in January for marketing at the state conference.
Awesome. Thank you.
All good things ahead.
All good things.
All right. And for my executive director's report. All right, as we approach the finish line to 2024, that's what this is, right? It's a perfect time to reflect on the incredible journey that we've had. And with so many resurfacing projects that we've completed this year, this graphic serves as a symbol of the milestones that we've reached and the challenges that we've overcome together. So as I reflect upon the past year, it's going to bring everybody a lot of gratitude and pride to see all the projects that kind of come to a culmination together. And so not only has the Park District surpassed our expectations in creating inclusive, vibrant recreational experiences, but I think the community has acknowledged that in so many ways, how proud they are of the Park District, that we were listening to them, we met their community needs. And tonight you'll see a snapshot, kind of a year in review of where we've been. We kicked off 2024 on a high note with the Park District being awarded the Distinguished Accreditation at the IEP IPRA State Conference in January. And this prestigious recognition honors park districts that demonstrate an exceptional commitment to providing high-quality recreational programs, services, facilities, and shows that we're staying up to speed on the latest best practices. And then also, Katie just mentioned the agency showcase. At the last state conference, we were honored with the first place award for a large format printing for the stunning mural at the Civic Center, actually designed by our very own Katie Burgess, and second place in the state for best fun guide. Also, this feels like years ago, but it was just last February, believe it or not, that we had the adoption of the Fox River Corridor Master Plan. For those of you watching at home, this was the result of an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Batavia that resulted in numerous community open houses, planning sessions, and concept plans, which featured the future of the depot pond, in addition to capturing all the recreational areas along the Fox River Corridor. That was just February. Also, we updated the interior of the Batavia Depot Museum. We added new carpeting and a refreshed wooden floor. So I think this picture, yep, this shows the museum flooring, the before and after pictures, because I know you like those. So thanks to the hard work of our Facilities and Trades Department, we were able to do those projects in-house. On focusing on partnerships, the Park District continues to maintain a strong partnership with the city of Batavia. This year, our parks crew and our facilities and trades crews supported the city by helping them distribute door hangers and yard signs to residents, notifying them about the Mahoney Creek spill. So the city very much appreciated that, and they were able to reimburse us for our labor costs.
Cool.
So these photos highlight one of my favorite events that took place this year that was unexpected, and that was the installation of the basketball hoops at the Batavia Apartments. And this was done by our Facilities and Trades Department. This project was made possible through funding through the CHIP in Batavia and the Batavia Activity and Athletic Foundation. But this was certainly a feel-good, and it was a lot of partnerships coming together as one. This year, the Recreation Department launched the new in-house soccer league, Energy City Soccer, which has been a tremendous success for toddler-aged kiddos. This league's vibrant new logo is also created in-house by our marketing department. So a win-win there, a lot of talent in-house. We're able to, again, keep costs down by not contracting out. And we also had, and again, we're still in the spring of last year, we had the Depot Museum's ribbon cutting for the new Living History Garden on June 1st, so I guess we're entering summer at this point. The garden features vegetables and perennials that have historically been grown in Batavia. So, and there are nice little interpretive signs that you can read along the way that explain like what each perennial is or what each vegetable and how it's significant to Batavia. And then the Batavia Park District received notification that we were beneficiaries of the King County Fab Fox grant for the Clark Island canoe launch area. So this will actually come to fruition in spring of next year, and then this will add a boat launch accessibility south of the dam.
It was in the newspaper today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big write-up on their whole plan, and
Oh.
that was mentioned today.
In fact, I think there was a photo too, wasn't there?
I don't know, it was, yeah, it's overall.
Wasn't as attractive as this photo.
No.
I can't wait for the before and after.
Right, that would be awesome.
These pictures. All right, before and after. You asked for it, you'll get it. So since our board and the audience at home love the before and after photos, I've included one of the most significant amenity transformations that took place this year. So here's the before image of what used to be our multi-use sports court at West Main Community Park. And after. And here's the after picture. What an incredible transformation. Now we have 8 dedicated pickleball courts ready for tournament play.
Are they also like constantly being used, like?
They were right at the beginning when we opened. But
Right,
yeah,
well, it wouldn't wear.
dwindled down a little, but yeah, it was busy.
Yeah.
It was busy.
And now that pickled, the
Yeah.
indoor pickleball court is going to be opening in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It'll maybe alleviate some of the
But they'll
wait
go there in the
time
summer
here.
and they'll come back here in the summer and they'll go to pickled in the wintertime.
True. And then we also have the indoor pickleball, like the open gym.
Yeah.
And we hope that having pickled in Batavia will alleviate some of the wait time, because there are a lot of
Mhm.
folks that are just kind of still like waiting, even though.
Well, that's a membership thing too, there, right? So-
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll pay.
I think they'll appreciate our low
Free
drop-in
Yes,
fee.
or free.
Low
Outside.
shoe, yeah.
Exactly. So just a little before again, just because this is like such
No, it is. It's
the
huge.
pride of Batavia here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Are all those, oh, that's what I
I
Thank you.
know,
I was
yes.
just getting ready to ask that
I
question.
knew you were, I
Oh,
knew it.
that is so cool.
We were ready.
That is so cool.
As promised during last month's board meeting, here's a photo of the newly installed shelter that's ready for pickleball players. This was installed after our dedication.
That looks so much better than I thought it
Looks
would.
very
In
nice.
my mind, I had
I
something
thought it was gonna be a
completely
shape, like a,
So we actually have a pavilion.
okay,
We still have that, and then this is actually
but it's just on the.
right dab in the middle
Right.
of the courts.
I was anticipating like umbrella things,
Same,
but this is
yeah.
like so much
It
better.
looks like some train
So,
station.
so we have more of that type of
Yep.
a shade structure at the skate and bike park.
Yeah, oh,
That you're
okay.
thinking of the canvas.
Okay.
But this is actually,
No, that's really cool. Thank
So
you
then
for this
this is-
picture.
designed to provide relief from the rain and the sun. In the shelter also, you can see it includes 2 benches where players can kind of rest between games or while they're waiting their turn. And then here is the dedication of the pickleball courts. That was October 5th. And then we had the pickleball tournament shortly after. I know the recreation team can't wait to host pickleball instruction, tournaments. So now they just can't wait for spring to happen.
Mhm, mhm.
But, so they're in planning mode right now.
We have to have winter first.
True, yep.
Do we?
So I always
Do
tell
we
people
have
we're
to?
like retail, you know, we're
Yeah.
ordering the
Oh, yeah.
swimsuits now, but we're living through the
Put on your Christmas trees in August.
snowsuits. Yeah. And then we took on a big challenge and hosted 2 park dedications in one day. I call it the double doozy. One for Peter Frieder's Park, and then the other was for Coventry Hills Park. And that was
Conveniently, just the polar
Complete
opposite
opposite
sides of
sides of
town.
town.
right.
Yeah,
Give
that's
everybody
great.
about 15 minutes to cruise over, find the best route. But yeah, it was a great turnout.
Mhm.
We haven't had a park dedication in quite some time, and it was great. And then we celebrated the arrival of our new minibus.
That
And,
is awesome.
and then hopefully tonight, with the tentative approval of our budget, the board will approve a second minibus for next year. But this particular bus will be used primarily for summer camp, for our trips, and our senior programming.
Just cruising around. That bus is awesome.
Rent it out for weddings.
Yeah,
Come on,
there you go.
At one point, we were asking if we could get the logo to propel,
Yeah.
just by.
Oh, that would.
But then that might turn into a sign, and then the city might have to say in that,
Yeah.
might need a permit for it.
Rats.
Katie's like, wait.
Oh, she was a part of that conversation though initially, like how can we turn it like a windmill? Moving forward, always moving forward, that's the key. And then the marketing department developed and reimagined a comprehensive sponsorship plan district-wide. And as a result, this year, we had 78 unique sponsors for events.
That's
So
awesome.
if you recall, that was, gosh, back in the summer that Carolyn Potosnik came and gave the lay of the land. And so now the marketing team, we did a reorganization within the marketing department. So Lindsay Williams has picked up a lot of the social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And then that has allowed Carolyn to really dive deeper into the website as well as sponsorships. And it's paid off, figuratively and literally. And the Batavia Peace Rock Garden is complete. It was complete in September. So on September 21st, which is the International Day of Peace, the community members gathered together and they set rocks into this river of kindness. And people, actually anybody can come, they can paint a rock and place it there, so you can give a rock and get a rock if you like. There are some rocks that are glued, so we recommend you keep those intact. But there were 13 organizations that checked out rock painting kits from our front office, and over 1,000 rocks that were kind of donated into the initial rock garden. So the Batavia Parks Foundation partnered with the Batavia Park District. Kim Hansen took the lead on that project. I worked with Alex Macias and George Ruiz. And we had quite a few park days where we got together. And yeah, it's a beautiful little park room. And the district's very first lightning detection system was installed at the Hall Quarry Beach this past summer. This system includes an app, or is available on an app. So it alerts staff when lightning strikes or are up to within 100 meters. And luckily, with the close proximity of the Hall Quarry Beach and downtown Batavia Riverwalk, we're able to use the lightning detection system at the quarry for the Riverwalk as well. So that actually came in very handy with the Windmill City Festival when we had to evacuate people, like entire crowds, 3 times throughout the festival this year. So, while we love ESTA, Batavia's Emergency Services Disaster Agency, we love them. We love that they're at our festival. We also like the capability of being able to see it ourselves and kind of make the call ourselves. And we're not so dependent on another agency to let us know. And then this is the former playground that was at Clark Island. And it was donated to the Kids Around the World organization. And the playground is going to be reassembled in another country. Josh, have we heard word on which country it is?
No.
Okay, could you follow up? That'd be interesting to see, and we can put another little pin in our map outside. And for those of you watching at home, we do have a map that shows exactly where all of our playgrounds that have been donated to Kids Around the World, where they've landed, so people can view it at the Civic Center. And then in the playground's place is the new outdoor fitness court, of which we received a $50,000 grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is a part of the National Fitness Campaign. The fitness court is free to the public. You can take your smartphone, scan a QR code, and get a workout on the spot. Or you can wait till spring, till warmer seasons, and we'll have Kathy Friedland and all of our fitness instructors down there. And with scheduled time for classes, we'll have a kiosk down there so people can see what time our organized scheduled classes are for a nominal fee. Or people can ride down there on their bike, hop off their bike, and go to town on a workout. So the fitness court has a rubber safety surfacing and benches for companion seating. The new skate and bike park. So this looks like a concept plan, but this is actually a drone shot. Yep.
It looks fake.
It looks
really
fake.
does,
It looks fake,
But
yeah.
Katie, you can attest. There's a drone flying over there, and this is a screenshot from the drone footage. So the skate and bike park benefited from the $600,000 OSLAD grant from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. The skate park features concrete paving, the shade sail, so this is off to the right, the nylon surfacing, and square campus seating. So I do highly recommend for you to check it out. It's worth it just to go down there, park, and then you'll see people on there all hours of the day. It's really exciting. And then this next picture shows the asphalt pump track. It doesn't show, because it's the aerial drone shot, it doesn't show all the really cool.
No, the last one showed it going.
You can see the hills
Like
on
it's-
the camera.
there you go, yeah, you can really see it
going,
there.
yeah. That's wild.
And so this was really, and Josh Wyant Josh was the primary lead on this project, but, and John was certainly a part of this from the beginning as well. But our committee, what we decided when we were working with Upland Design is that we really wanted kind of that cross-pollination of use. We didn't want one to just be the skate park or one to be the bike park. We knew that they're going to end up in each other's area. Initially, when we built the skate park, we had it almost like caged in because we
Literally,
wanted to keep the bikers out and only the skaters in, and we even had the turnstile. Well, now this is really an open approach where people drive by. It doesn't look like a juvenile detention center. It's very welcoming. It's very open. Actually, there are inline rollerbladers now that are down there.
People are on all the time, right?
Yeah, bikes, skates, yeah.
Are they on that fitness thing yet? Have you seen them on there?
I've seen a few people.
Have you?
Yeah, I've seen a few people on
Well,
there.
that's awesome.
We need one of the bike repair things down there.
Oh,
We're
That's
actually, yes.
Oh,
Do you want to give a quick update on that, Josh?
Yeah, actually,
That's perfect timing.
yeah, we'll be installing those in the spring, kind of down by where the kiosk is.
Nice.
in the north parking lot there, but yep.
Oh, that's perfect. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we've been working with, formerly known as the Bicycle Commission,
Something.
Active
Yeah.
Pedestrian Bicycle
And the same,
Committee.
yeah.
But yeah, the city is gonna help sponsor it. So yeah, great question. You're right on top of it. And here's the view from above. It's gorgeous and concrete bowls.
That's really cool.
But it's really neat. So I can't wait for us to get that April 12th dedication. It'll be the same day as the Easter egg hunt. So Brittany and her team are on top of it. There's actually a committee that Brittany and Katie are spearheading for the day of festivities. They're looking at everything from food trucks to demos, demos of the fitness court, demos of the skateboard portion, sponsorships. So it's going to be a great time. And then, since we're still talking Clark Island, here's a gorgeous photo of the newly finished fishing outcrop station, complete with the limestone steps. So that's available for use anytime. I just love that.
Yeah, it's really neat.
As Katie would say, it's so Batavia. And then the Facilities and Trades Department completed an exterior paint refresh on the Peg Bond Center. Again, our in-house talent. And then Peg Bond also received some love with the roof. And if you remember, we had significant savings, $250,000 savings on just waiting to do the
Because we
roof.
used to do it, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the before picture. Get a good photographic memory shot of that. And here's our after.
It looks so different, yeah.
So much better. Just one more time. Before and the staining seam was really the way to go. It really helps to have an architect on the board. to give guidance
Yeah,
to
so-
staff to say, you know what, it's okay to do
And then to explain to the rest of us
staining seam.
what he just said.
And then
Oh, there you go, yeah.
we worked with Williams Architects and Bear Construction to turn the concept plan of the Patrick J. Callahan Community Center from a dream into what is finally becoming a reality. So we were just talking today about, my cursor's showing, nope, it's not showing. But yeah, how the elevator shaft area really.
Yeah,
is gonna
that's
be-
the view I was talking about, it's just gonna be so transformed.
Shows the old character.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
We just need a newly paved street out
Yeah.
to look like the picture. And here we go.
Oh,
So it's moving right along. The infrastructure is completely intact, so that was the most expensive part because, you know, it's kind of what you don't know what lies underneath, and that's what happened with the sanitary piping. But yeah, now that the elevator shaft has been added, we're well underway. And then these are fresh
oh, that's
pictures
the other side.
that were just taken, just kind of framing up where the concrete was going to go. And we anticipate a July or August grand opening, so we'll be
I like it just what it is. Say it again.
be a great haunted house.
Yeah,
this
right,
year.
yeah.
And then these photos showcase the transformation of Payne Woods Park following our winter cleanup efforts. So the Parks Department has been working hard on removing invasive species and planting native seeds to enhance the natural beauty of the park.
It looks like you can actually walk through it now.
That's great.
Yeah, before and after.
Yeah,
That one needed the side-by-side.
it did.
And then also this year, dun, 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 dun. Now Lynn needs a slide. This is a huge win. That the Batavia Park District was named a 2024 Chicago Tribune Top Workplace. It's the 5th time that the Park District has received this recognition, and it's really no easy feat. I mean, we were the only park district. There weren't any library districts mentioned.
We moved up like 50 spots. too.
We moved way up,
Yeah.
and they gave out less awards.
Oh,
It was very
Wow.
tiny there. So, was it 37? Do you remember the number? No, I don't even. It's like, it feels like it was a year ago already, but yeah, especially with, you know, we're trying to do more with less, and as hard as staff has been working, and we're really, really proud of staff at how everybody's come together. And with that being said, These are some of the ways that staff has come together to support one another. On the left-hand side, supporting Scotty Meyer, Brittany's daughter, who's a champion. She's a trooper. And then on the right side is our ugly sweater party. So our staff works hard, so they play hard. Whew.
I love that. You guys are so awesome. I will forever be grateful for all you guys, so thank you.
We're grateful for you. What emotional knot in my throat. Oh, it's moving right
Yeah, moving right.
I have a change.
No, you gotta work on that transition.
Can we downsize that?
Can you make her smaller?
Yeah.
Go back to Scott.
I have a transition. Go back to the baby. Yeah. We were getting too emotional on the other one, so I had to switch gears. But I have no transition for this other than to say, our park district helped the King County Coroner's Office solve actually the oldest DNA cold case in King County history. So, we helped solve the forensic genealogy case based on a skull that was donated to the museum back in 1879, and our park districts will forever go down in history in a police report that everybody can read now.
John's waiting to be on the Netflix special.
The oldest cold case
The
in DNA
Netflix special
history.
comes up and I'm like, oh man, this skull freaked me out.
Sorry for the quick change.
All good.
That emotional threat.
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone. It's gone.
Moment's over.
We're okay.
Yep.
Are you okay?
Okay.
All right. And then tonight, the park board will have the opportunity, if you'd like, to approve the Hawkeye Beach Master Plan concept design. This plan has really been a year and a half in the making, and hopefully it'll be worth the wait for the public. And last but not least, wishing our residents and the park board and staff a very happy holiday season. Lots of love from all of us here and to you. That's a wrap.
Excellent. Very good.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to jump to executive session for a few minutes. This won't take very long. Thank you. So I entertain a motion to enter into executive session at 8:54.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tim, second by Gray. Lindsay, can you please call the roll?
Tillman.
All right.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell. Kelly.
Aye, motion carries. Is the recording going?
You notice how I didn't chime in?
You're like, yeah,
It's
which
like,
one is
it's
it?
y'all.
All right, we are back in regular session. We'll have one item, and it is an agenda item, number 16, from executive session that we will get to momentarily. So we will start with new business, 14A, the approval of ordinance number 421. So Aaron, I'll give you a chance to speak before we do anything with this.
Sounds great. Good evening, everyone. My name's Aaron Gold, Independent Municipal Advisor from Spear Financial, and Allison and Brent have invited me out to present the results of the sale of the district's General Obligation Limited Tax Park Bond Series 2024B and General Obligation Limited Tax Park Bond Series 2024C. We held a competitive sale last Thursday where we received 5 bids. The low bid was a tied bid at 3.59% net interest cost from Republic Bank of Chicago, Oak Brook, Illinois, and from Time Bank in Park Ridge, Illinois. The third place bid was a 3.76% bid from First Secure Community Bank in Joliet. So collectively, I like to refer to these bonds as the district's annual rollover bonds. They're issued general obligation, limited tax. So general obligation means that the principal and interest is paid for by a direct property tax levy and that they are limited or constrained. So the first limit is how much of this type of debt you can have outstanding in total. And then the second limit is how much you can levy each year to repay the principal and interest when due. When the board authorizes the issuance of its annual rollover bonds as general obligation limited tax, it has the authority to do so on a non-referendum basis. The reason why we call these annual rollover bonds is because it's an annual process for the board to fill its upcoming bond and interest levy for that specific year. Specifically, the structure, we anticipate closing on December 30th of 2024. Again, one-year issue with the final maturity on November 1st of 2025. Based off of the final interest rates from the two banks, we increased the total aggregate issue size by $4,390 to $823,915 to fully utilize the district's 24 levying capacity. And then framing this interest rate, this bid is down 74 basis points from last year. And over the same time period, the one-year treasury declined by 75 basis points. In total, net proceeds generated from the rollover process increased by $26,090 or 3.32% over the district's prior year annual rollover issue. And then the total net proceeds generated from filling this levy each year equals approximately 95.6% of the district's actual levying capacity. We therefore recommend that the district's general obligation limited tax park bond series 2024B be awarded to Republic Bank of Chicago, Oak Brook, Illinois, revised price of $411,960 at a net interest cost of 3.59%. And we further recommend that the district's general obligation limited tax park bond series 2024C be awarded to Time Bank, Park Ridge, Illinois, revised price of $411,955 at a net interest cost of 3.59%. It's been a pleasure seeing everyone. As a resident of Batavia, you guys are doing awesome work, so please keep it up, and thank you for your time. And if you have any questions on the rollover process, I'd be more than happy to help.
Appreciate it. I just, for the benefit of the public, this is something we have been doing for the better part of 15 years. And this is how we fund our reconstruction, our capital campaign for our parks, improvements at the quarry, throughout the entire system, our existing structures and programmable buildings. So just want to clarify what the money is intended for. And Aaron, thanks for coming out tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays, everyone. Please feel free to reach out and use me as a resource as you go through these big planning processes. I'd be happy to help support your plan.
I do have two questions.
Yes.
They're actually one split into two. So, is it customary to split this like this? And doing so, is that why we raised it $4,300? Because it was split? Would we have done that if it wasn't split?
So, yes, that is typically how I treat the banks as fairly as possible because it was a tied bid. So I'll reach out to them and make sure that they're comfortable with me restructuring the issue as such. The resizing is different though.
Okay.
The resizing is based off of the interest rate.
But the interest rate that we got. So if we only got one bank with that interest rate, we still would have resized it.
We still would have resized it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
That was a great question.
Yeah, that
Very
was
good
good,
question.
thank you.
Great.
Just trying to understand. And so, and it went from B to B and C because you split it. That part I didn't ask the question because I figured that out on my own.
Yeah, I've never experienced this before.
Yeah, this is cool.
What you do want to see is healthy competition.
Yeah. And this keeps them competing, the fact that they know that we split it like this, they know they're still in the game, so.
Absolutely.
All right. So I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 421, providing for the issue of $411,960 general obligation limited tax park bonds series 2024B and $411,955 in general obligation limited tax park bonds series 2024C of the district for the payment of land for parks, for the buildings, maintaining, improving, and protecting of the same, and the existing land and facilities of the district, and for the payment of the expenses incident thereto, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on the bonds, and authorizing the sale of the bonds to the purchasers thereof.
So moved.
Second.
I feel sorry for the person who wrote this
That
and who
was-
had to just say it.
How is that not a run-on sentence?
Right?
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
So moved. Yeah. That was a long sentence. I was confused.
And you didn't even read it.
No, I was just listening to it, wore me out.
No, right.
I said.
Oh, you did?
Aye.
Yes. All right, motion carries. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Good seeing you.
We appreciate you.
All right, next item on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Item number 14C, I entertain a motion to make ordinance number 422 fiscal year 2025 tentative budget and appropriations ordinance available for public inspection.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye, motion
Is there any
carries.
way to combine those two motions together, just to make it one in the future, to say?
It's a separate ordinance.
No.
Really, are they separate, or?
421 is 421, 422.
No, that's true. But that's what I'm asking, though. Like, why can't it be
Don't argue.
one ordinance? To say we approve
Aaron
this?
should make the
We're
rules.
just saying.
No, I know, I'm just saying, but to approve it and to open it up to the public. I think it would just cut time. Anyway, go ahead.
So next, I would entertain a motion to approve the Hall Quarry Beach Master Plan concept design as presented. Just to be clear.
So moved.
Motion by,
Second.
Yes.
motion by Tillman, second by Gray.
But now I got questions.
Wait,
Right.
we're not approving
Right.
to do it. We're
Right.
just approving the plan,
Right, well,
The concept.
the concept.
so, well, and that's, I'm asking this question, just because there's a motion on the table, it's not approved. But, so we're approving the plan, but should we though, if we're also asking for further renovations to the plan, or are we just gonna then go back and say we're gonna approve the implementation plan or whatever it's called? So I wanna make sure that we're doing this now at the right time, or should we wait
It's
until
a
we see
master
something?
plan concept.
I got it.
So in my world, that's the very beginning of having ideas on a page that ultimately turn into whatever later
But
you
we
decide.
do we need to approve that, though?
Well, I
Why
think-
not just approve when it does become into the later, like, real master plan, implementation plan?
Because the
and that gets
master
approved?
plan itself isn't gonna change. What,
But there's
the
concept.
phasing.
I get that. So the concept, this is just concept. Is it the master plan, or is it the concept of a master plan?
It's the master plan conceptual design. I take it as this is like the kickoff of it, kind of, right? Like this is like, yes, we like what.
Well, it's a year and a half worth of work that was boiled down into a 47-minute presentation.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, we're saying that these are the amenities that the staff and the designers have put together that they believe are the best options for the Quarry Beach renovations in a phased plan looking forward. The pro forma supported the elements within the plan. All we're doing as a board saying, thank you very much. The master plan, no different than we did with the river corridor plan. The process for the master plan is now ended, and moving forward would be an implementation plan. That's.
Which also is a separate fee for the implementation.
No, I get that.
It's kind of like
That's all I'm
the
saying.
conclusion.
Okay.
It's semantics.
It is. I just hate the word concept on it, but whatever. Because I get, this is the master plan. We've completed it. After a year and a half, we've completed it. It's not a concept anymore. It was a concept when we started, not a concept now.
Okay, so then, can we
But-
change the motion to be entertain a motion to approve the Herald, or the Hall Quarry Beach Master Plan?
Design, yes,
As presented.
yes. I am much more confident. with that.
Now you can still motion to amend it?
I wasn't going to before.
No, because they haven't voted on it, so it can be amended, and then you can, maybe, President County, you could just say, entertain a motion to,
Amend the motion.
or just, I guess, entertain a motion with the new language you'd like to use to
Okay.
come up with it.
So entertain a motion to approve the Hall Quarry Beach Master Plan as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Tillman,
Second.
second by Gray. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
Lindsay, please call it.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Bell.
Aye.
What'd you do if I said no there?
Aye. Motion carried. I would laugh my tail
Put a
off.
pen in my face?
No, I would never do that.
Right?
I do
Okay.
want- But it was important that what Pat said about the approval for the people watching at home doesn't mean that we're actually doing it. It's
Right.
just the adopt.
We have a vision for what we want to do. Now it's a function of how do we implement it?
Yeah.
And what is
And I
the,
understand it's a separate fee, but that'll come before us.
Right.
But I get that, and I'd like to see that, so it'll be worth it.
Then, since the budget just got, the ordinance just was approved, it may be a little while before we get the implementation.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's right.
okay, so item number 14E, I would entertain a motion to award the contract for HVAC preventative maintenance to One Source Mechanical, Inc. of DeKalb for the total amount of $14,950.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray.
What's with the fourth bid? I mean, what happened? Were they reading off the same
I'm
thing?
not quite sure, it was outrageous.
Yeah, it's 10 times more than all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Right.
I was like, am I reading this right, or is that a
Is
typo?
it a typo? Yeah. Okay.
But
Right.
that's crazy.
Yeah, all I would say is it's been my experience that when you have somebody who perhaps isn't in this market space,
That's where they come up
that
with
does
that
like
guy?
national
Yeah,
plans,
yeah,
or
yeah.
they do work for the GSA, their pricing strategies.
They work for the
are
military
completely
with that
different.
kind of
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
It's just a quarterly service to,
Yeah.
Right, no, I
Those are
understand what
DOD
it
rates. Those are
Yeah, right,
DOD
these are
rates.
DOD rates. Because I was looking at it, I was like, I understand what we're doing here, and I was like, well, these bids seem reasonable, and I was like, whoa, what is that one?
yeah, outrageous.
But, okay.
All right. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell. Aye. Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the updated video surveillance policy as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion?
Thank you for putting it in before and after. Thank you.
That's helpful to see.
It really is.
As to what changes.
Yep.
It's just helpful to see. Yeah.
Sure. Lindsay and I went back, we made sure that it was verbatim how you
Yeah.
like it.
It's absolutely great.
Awesome. All right, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Aye. Bell. Aye. Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. Next item is 14G. So I would entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Batavia and the Batavia Park District for blanket easements for surveillance cameras.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion? Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray. Aye. Bell. Aye. Callahan.
Aye, motion carries.
I love this little map, too.
I know
Pretty
that
cool.
looks like.
Yeah, it's really cool how far these things go.
Yeah.
Okay, 14H. I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 309, fiscal year 2025 regular board meeting schedule as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. Any further discussion?
Thank you for putting in language that we can actually move these, because we may be in a different building by the end of the year, so.
That's a great point. And then with this regular meeting schedule, I do want to mention that the July board meeting falls right after Windmill City Fest. So staff may be taking comp time, so we may be skeleton crew.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a date that we would want to. Oh. He just said he won't be here.
That's just way to go, I don't care. It's like, it's basically saying, do what you want to do. They'll be recovering.
Abstain from this conversation.
They're gonna be recovering from Windmill City.
That's right. So Pantera, since that was skin in the game,
That was good for me.
would it help for staff to move it to maybe the third?
We've moved it in the past.
Yeah,
We've moved it in the past,
That's
so I
fine.
think it's wise to move it.
To move it to the third
Mm-hmm,
Tuesday in July?
mm-hmm.
So just the schedule shows this is the second Tuesday.
Yeah, they're all the second Tuesday in July, or I'm sorry, third.
They're all the
They're all
third.
the, or sorry, they're.
But you can approve it and then.
Yeah, it can be,
and amend the single
because it
meeting.
says that changes in meeting dates and times.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll, you know,
Clarify
open meetings
what
act.
the July
Um,
meeting will be then.
So if we did the second Tuesday in July, that'd be right the week
That's-
of.
That'd be
Windmill City.
before.
And that's 4th of July, yeah, you might want to.
You can do it after.
Just
Do it
make it
the
a
last-
short meeting.
The fourth?
I wouldn't do it the week prior.
No.
I would do it the fourth.
No,
Do it the fourth.
the fourth Tuesday in July.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Whatever ends up on my calendar is when I show
Because I
up.
think we've done that before. I think we've done
We've
it.
moved
Pushed it to the last week.
We have,
Yeah.
So we'll move it to the fourth Tuesday.
that's cool.
All right, any further discussion?
Thank you, boy, this is why you're making it a top workplace for staff.
All right, Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell. Aye. Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. Last item is, the executive session. So I would entertain a motion to approve resolution number 310, a resolution regarding the release of closed session minutes and authorizing the destruction of audio or video recordings of certain executive sessions as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Tillman,
Second.
second by Gray. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lindsay, please call the roll.
Tillman.
Aye.
Gray.
Aye.
Bell. Aye. Callahan.
Aye, motion carries. So with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Tillman, second by Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you. Have a great holiday.
Thank you.